Well, I got started in the business about 25 years ago.
So what is the most unique thing you've ever found in a storage locker?
Unique would be I found a full skeleton one time. It's not the most valuable, but it was definitely unique.
Not every treasure on Storage Wars was hidden in dusty lockers. The real value came from the people, bold, funny, dramatic, and unforgettable. But over the years, some familiar faces have vanished from the spotlight. For a few, life ended far too soon. For others, close calls and tragedies changed their lives forever. From shocking health scares to heartbreaking losses, their stories still leave fans stunned. One cast member was even discovered in a place no one could have imagined. These are 10 beloved Storage Wars cast members who have been touched by tragedy. Number 10. Mo Prigo. On Storage Wars, Texas, few cast members were as instantly recognizable as Mo Prigo. With his colorful clothing, witty one-liners, and charismatic personality, Mo quickly became a fan favorite. He wasn't just another bidder, he was the Doc, a nickname that reflected his successful career as a podiatrist in Dallas. Balancing medicine with his love of collecting, Mo showed viewers that you could be both a respected professional and a quirky treasure hunter at the same time. Mo's passion was to spend a large part of his life discovering mid-century modern furniture and rare art. After years of collecting, he opened his own store, River Regency Modern, where he displayed and sold his unique finds. His eye for detail set him apart at auctions, as did his playful banter, much more so with Mary Padian, his regular partner in these things, adding levity to the competition. He was in it for more than just the profit. For Mo, each item spoke something, and he enjoyed evoking those tales back into existence. Mo was life beyond the show. He loved music, gardening, and travel, and he often spoke of the joy he took in having time with his wife for life, Michaela. His charisma did not just end with the television. He was a popular figure within the community. Mo died at 78 in March 2021, after battling his sickness for 6 years. That sadness of fans over death is due not only to being a cast member, but to being a person who filled every room with color, energy, and warmth. His legacy lives on through the laughter and style he shared with the world. And if you're still holding back tears, brace yourself. The next chapter is even more shocking. Number 9. Garrett Dodson. For Dan and Laura Dodson, Storage Wars was more than just a business. It was a family affair. But in 2020, their world was shaken by a tragedy no parent ever wants to face. Their son, Garrett, then just 22 years old, became the victim of a violent shooting while visiting his girlfriend in Arizona. What should have been a normal trip turned into a nightmare that nearly ended his life. Reports revealed that Garrett was struck by a bullet that tore into his vena cava, one of the body's largest veins. The wound caused massive internal bleeding, leaving him in critical condition. In an astonishing display of willpower, Garrett managed to call 911 himself, even while bleeding heavily. Emergency responders rushed him to a local hospital, but doctors quickly realized the facility wasn't equipped to handle such severe trauma. He was airlifted to Las Vegas for life-saving surgery. They fought to resuscitate the heart manually while controlling the bleeding. Against all odds, Garrett survived. Describing their gratitude, his parents later attributed their miracle recovery to the quick actions of medical staff and, above all, to their son's resilience. Garrett Wilder was later apprehended and charged with aggravated assault and weapons offenses. For the Dodsons, life could have changed in a moment such as happened to them. The child survived, but the experience left deep scars on the family and proved to the world's supporters just how fragile and unpredictable life could be. Number 8. Mark Ballelo. Among the colorful personalities that passed through storage wars, Mark Ballelo stood out like few others. Known to fans as Rico Suave, Mark carried himself with swagger, arriving at auctions in flashy clothes, exuding confidence, and waving around stacks of cash as if he owned the room. He wasn't afraid to outbid anyone if he sensed hidden treasures inside a locker, and his bold style quickly made him a memorable figure in the series. Behind the charm, though, Mark had built an impressive entrepreneurial path. Born in Portugal and raised in Brazil until his teenage years, he came to the United States determined to make something of himself. Before stepping into the spotlight, he ran a video game store called Game Exchange. In 2011, he opened Ballelo Inc., an auction house that gave him a stronger footing in the resale world. His fame swelled to an unimaginable height when he located the legendary missing comic, Action Comics #1, the 1938 issue that introduced Superman, which had been stolen from actor Nicolas Cage more than a decade before. That one discovery would have forged his place in the annals of auction history. Unfortunately, Mark's life then took a tragic turn. 2 days after an arrest for suspicion of substance possession, in February 2013, he was found dead in his car inside his business garage. Carbon monoxide poisoning was determined to be the cause, a tragic ending for someone only 40 years old. Fans and other cast members were left shocked. For all his bravado, Mark's story became a painful reminder that sometimes the loudest persona conceals the heaviest of burdens. His absence is still sorely felt within the storage wars culture. Number 7. Gunter Nazoda. For many viewers, Gunter Nazoda was more than just a supporting face on Storage Wars. He was a gentle soul who brought warmth and humor to every episode he appeared in. The Austrian-born star joined the series during later seasons alongside his son, Garrett Nazoda, and quickly became a fan favorite. With his easygoing personality, light-hearted jokes, and genuine kindness, Gunter added balance to the fierce bidding wars that often defined the show. Gunter's life stretched far beyond the auction world. He was an accomplished bass guitarist who had performed with music legends such as Pat Travers, Leslie West, and Michael Schenker. He also appeared in independent films like Do Not Disturb and The Haunting at Death Valley Junction. Off-screen, he considered himself a passionate photographer, always capturing the world from unique angles. By the time he joined Storage Wars in Season 8, he had already built a life full of creativity and adventure. In 2023, tragedy struck when Gunter passed away after a 6-month battle with lung cancer, his life cut short at 67. His son, René, shared the news of his death with a heavy heart. Some months ago, the disease was diagnosed. By the time the diagnosis was made, damage had already become very high. They said he was in emergencies during the last days, but the emergency treatments he was getting were not working, and he was getting worse by the hour until he finally died at the Utah hospital, where family members were beside him. Fans from all around the world mourned his death, remembering him not for any drama or conflicts, but for being human. Gunter's time on Storage Wars was cut short compared to others. Still, he leaves behind a legacy of warmth, music, and love that shall never be forgotten. Number 6. Dan Dodson. If Storage Wars had a heartbeat, it was Dan Dodson. With his rapid-fire chant and boundless energy, he, alongside his wife Laura, set the pace for every auction. As co-owner of American Auctioneers, Dan wasn't just a television personality. He was a seasoned professional who had been calling bids for decades before the cameras arrived. His fast tongue and big personality made him one of the most recognizable figures on the show. But in 2014, Dan's life took a terrifying turn. What began as an ordinary day quickly spiraled into a fight for survival. He developed a sudden, crushing headache and started slurring words, alarming Laura, who immediately realized something was terribly wrong. Within moments, his eyes rolled back, his legs gave out, and his skin shifted to a frightening bluish green. It wasn't just exhaustion. It was 2 brain aneurysms striking at once. Doctors afterward, and rightly, stressed the rarity of survival after such an event. Most times, it would have been catastrophic damage. Luckily, the bleeding was too scanty for his chances to be lost, but it was sufficient for the surgeons to take a chance on him. The recovery was long and painful, but Laura stayed with him at every juncture. Dan later remarked on the whole ordeal in a fresh light and infamously said from his hospital bed, "Guess what? I'm a non-smoker now." A telling instance of his brush with losing everything. That in itself is a miracle that Dan survived. While his fans remember his signature auctioneering chant, his real legacy may very well be his spirit of survival. Proof that after looking death in its face, the universe has a way of granting second chances. Hold on, because the next name on our list faced struggles no one saw coming. Number 5. Brandi Pasante. When Storage Wars premiered in 2010, Brandi Pasante quickly became one of the most recognizable faces on the show. Alongside her longtime partner, Jared Schultz, she was portrayed as the grounded, level-headed counterbalance to Jared's impulsive bidding. Fans admired her sharp instincts, quick wit, and determination to make every locker pay off. Her popularity soared to the point that A&E even launched a spin-off, Brandi and Jared, Married to the Job, in 2014. Fame has its dark side. In 2020, Brandi admitted being a hit in The Dad Diary, in which she divulged her struggles ever since she shot to fame. Growing up from nowhere, as she put it, she became a magnet for unwanted public attention. She mentioned that once in a while some fan letters were crossed out for any sense of normalcy that made her feel unsafe for herself and her children. Things had reached such a point that she had to live in a gated community with security all the time for some peace of mind. The stress told on her. Brandi said she had to visit a therapist to deal with her anxiety and the conscious fear that public life induced into her private world. The highly publicized breakup with Jared made the situation worse at such a traumatic time. Despite all that was thrown her way, Brandi worked hard to regain her self-independence and strength. She continues to appear on Storage Wars, gaining a new perspective on the world marked by her journey of resilience and facing down intimidation. To her fans, there is now more to Brandi than being a smart buyer. She is considered a survivor who chose peace and safety rather than fear. Number 4. Barry Weiss. Barry Weiss was unlike anyone else on Storage Wars. Nicknamed The Collector, he wasn't interested in lockers for resale profit. He was in it for the thrill of uncovering the unusual, the bizarre, and the downright cool. With his eccentric style, from skeleton gloves to custom cars, Barry quickly became a fan favorite. He brought humor, unpredictability, and a sense of adventure to every auction, often hiring psychics or bringing outrageous props just to stand out. For many viewers, Barry was the soul of fun on the show. After 4 seasons, Barry left Storage Wars, and his absence was deeply felt. Fans speculated about why he walked away, but Barry explained that he had enjoyed the ride and simply wanted to step back from the spotlight. However, in 2019, news broke that rattled his fan base. Barry had been seriously injured in a motorcycle crash in Los Angeles. He was his friend when he had an accident, crashing through Los Feliz on a bicycle. Barry colliding with a car. After the accident, Barry suffered multiple fractured bones along with serious injuries to his chest and legs, eventually spending months in the hospital recovering and undergoing many surgeries. Dubbed in the early days an online rumor that Barry was dead, it was fueled by the parallel between the seriousness of his condition and the subsequent long stretch of silence. Fortunately for Barry, he survived, but his life has turned completely upside down after an accident. Public appearances have ceased because of it, but the fans still celebrate the joy he infused into Storage Wars. The experience stands as a reminder that very few get to live an in-your-face premonition that life can shift from one second to another, even for the most flamboyant jumping characters. Number 3. Jared Schultz. Jared Schultz entered Storage Wars in 2010 alongside Brandi Pasante, and together they quickly became one of the show's most recognizable duos. Their chemistry, her sharp instincts paired with his brash, risk-taking style, made them relatable to fans. For years, viewers followed the ups and downs of their bidding adventures, and the couple's dynamic was strong enough to land them their own spin-off, Brandi and Jared, Married to the Job. Even though they were never actually married, their partnership felt like a cornerstone of the franchise. However, life behind the cameras was far more complicated. By 2021, the pair publicly announced their split on the season 13 premiere, revealing that they had quietly ended their relationship sometime earlier. Though they continued to film together, the breakup exposed tensions that fans hadn't seen before. What seemed like a playful back and forth on TV had masked deeper struggles. But things took a turn for the worse in May 2021, when Jared was confronted with allegations of domestic violence in the wake of an altercation involving Brandi at an Orange County bar. Reports state that Brandi told him to leave several times, but it escalated to physical violence. Jared was later charged, which greatly tarnished his image. It felt for the fans like the tragic end of a reality TV fairy tale. Jared did not die that, perhaps, would have been far more tolerable, but rather his downfall felt like a symbolic death in that it brought an end to his era as one half of the beloved couple who helped anchor Storage Wars during its formative years. His tale is sobering for one reason. The riches and fame do little to shelter anyone from very real personal pain and from there on the consequences of actions. Number 2. Brandon Sheets. Brandon Sheets grew up in the world of auctions. As the son of veteran buyer Daryl Sheets, nicknamed the Gambler, he entered Storage Wars as a young man ready to learn the trade. Together, the father-son duo became a recognizable team, with Daryl's risk-taking spirit balanced by Brandon's quieter determination. Fans watched him grow from an eager learner into a confident bidder, and for a while, it looked like he might follow in his dad's footsteps permanently. But in 2017, Brandon's time on the show came to an abrupt end. Producers cited budget cuts as the reason for his departure, though Daryl continued appearing. For Brandon, this meant charting a new path outside the spotlight. He worked in real estate for a time before shifting to a stable career as a UPS truck driver. It seemed like he had found his footing until one terrifying night in early 2022 changed everything. A few days ago, while Brandon was on the road with a temporary co-driver, the co-driver lost control of the UPS semi and crashed into an oncoming truck at 70 miles per hour. It felt like a bomb went off, Brandon remembered, adding that he woke up with a startled feeling. His truck was all chopped up, with his possessions in ruin. He got out with some minor physical injuries, but whatever damage was done to his psyche was huge. To infuriate things more, Brandon said UPS would not provide any meaningful assistance whatsoever. It neither paid off losses nor concerned itself with safety complaints. To fans, that was another chilling reminder of the traumatic events that often dogged the Storage Wars family. Pretty much the last thing fans saw when he started with his brush with fate, just as he was the show's youngest gun. Our countdown isn't done yet, and the next one will leave you stunned. Number 1. Dave Hester. When people think of Storage Wars, one of the first names that comes to mind is Dave Hester. Known for his booming "Yoop" catchphrase, Hester became the show's ultimate provocateur. He thrived on stirring the pot, whether by outbidding rivals or by sparking confrontations that often overshadowed the auctions themselves. To many fans, he was the villain they loved to hate. But he was also one of the reasons the show exploded in popularity. In 2012, however, Hester shocked everyone when he claimed the show was staged. He alleged that producers planted valuable items inside storage lockers to keep the drama alive. Refusing to back down, he filed a lawsuit against A&E, and the legal fight briefly pushed him off the show. Yet, the producers eventually brought him back, perhaps realizing that without Dave, Storage Wars wasn't the same. After the fans thought the worst was behind him, a disaster almost happened. Late in 2018, Dave Hester had suffered a thrombosis with a grave prognosis. With a background of hypertension and sleep apnea, the stroke left Hester in long-term hospitalization, unable to walk or speak. There were even instances when the doctors were not sure whether he would pull through. The man who once thrived on the strength of his spirit and presence was now a frail figure fighting for his life. The incident had changed him forever, as well as the perceptions of his fans. What had been an extreme form of a reality star was now a survivor, one who looked death in the eye and kept living. The story of Dave Hester reminds us that behind the screams and the showmanship are real people whose lives are much more fragile than any of the scriptwriters could ever imagine. Thanks for watching. These stories remind us that the people who made Storage Wars exciting also faced struggles we never saw on screen. Which loss or story touched you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and ring the bell so you never miss an upload. And before you go, check out the next video on your screen. You won't want to miss it.